Hi, so my name is Alex from DEPIQD, and we're a video production company at heart, but we've recently started training businesses and business owners and personal brands in the art of video production. There's a big gap between people starting video and actually doing it successfully, and there's a large sort of reason of problems for that. And one of them is fear, one of them is technical knowledge, and one of them is expense, not really knowing any of those factors and how it might affect them going forward. So we hope to come in and help businesses like that leverage the power of video in their marketing efforts by giving them the knowledge that they need to move forward successfully. So I've actually been in business probably for over a decade now, at least. Probably 2008 we first started our business, but it was actually geared up doing something quite different. We were doing wedding films, and whilst that was fantastic and we knew that market very well by the end of sort of 10 years or so, about 2016 we decided it was time to diversify and do something a little bit different. So we moved into the world of corporate and commercial filmmaking, and that's been something that we've been pursuing ever since, so 2016. And the reason for starting up business for my own sake was that that was exactly it. I wanted to be my own boss. I didn't want to have someone else to sort of be beholden to and put all my best efforts into someone else's pocket, essentially, rather than being able to benefit myself and my family and actually have a better lifestyle by being able to call the shots and decide when I was working, when I wasn't working. Some of the challenges that we've experienced in business, I mean, there are loads, to be honest. Business is not easy. It's not something that you can just do and it works straight away. Sometimes you have to really put, the blood, sweat and tears into it, literally. But some of the things that we found, I think, certainly starting up the business, not knowing all of the answers right away and having somewhere to go to get the answers easily and accessibly, and then having them broken down in a way that made sense to us, rather than reading lots and lots of theory and lots of business school studies about how to start business. I did business at school, but that was a while ago, and it's just trying to have all of these things put together in a place. And I think, to be honest, weirdly, we don't really notice those challenges until later on, and we've been down a path for a particular period of time that you then go, oh, I've been doing that wrong. And for me, that was one of these sort of light bulb moments where I thought, actually, I could probably do with getting some help. So that's why I then went on to sort of think, well, who can help me and how best can they help me? And actually, things around time management, finance, you tend to know what you do very, very well, and that bit you're great at. But when you're running a business, it's not just a job. It's something that you actually have to understand the technicalities of the business around the mechanisms in terms of sales and marketing and customer retention and all these other bits and pieces, accounting, for example, things like that you didn't necessarily get into business to do. So all of those things essentially posed us a challenge at some point or another in different factors. Obviously, things that come nicely to us are marketing, so we tended to get into the marketing side of things a bit more easily than we would, say, the accounts and the business finance. Also, the sort of the planning for the future side of things. Sometimes it was very easy to live in the moment, and I think that's probably, again, a big difference between a job and a business, is that we were very much living in the moment and sort of firefighting day to day, rather than actually planning and having a process at which we would check in and see how we were doing in alignment to our plans. With regards to the business growth program in itself, what I liked is the fact that it was aimed towards micro businesses, which I suppose people sometimes don't like to admit that they're a micro business, but I think we are a micro business, and certainly at the moment we're planning for growth. That's the thing. I think we are a micro business. We'd like to move up a level potentially. But the thing that attracted me is that having worked actually with Phil as a coach and sort of seeing his coaching style previously by doing some filming with him, we could get to know him a little bit better. And actually what I loved about that is that what he was telling me is what he did for his clients is actually what he did for his clients. So there was absolutely no sort of wallpapering over things. It was absolutely as it should have been and as it was. And I initially spoke to him on the basis of maybe we could do some one-to-one coaching, and he quite rightly sort of pointed me in the direction of saying, actually, to be honest, I don't know if that's going to be right for you just at this point in time. Let's do this instead. And from my point of view, it made sense from an investment point of view, because it wasn't a dramatic investment that we needed to make in terms of actually getting some really valuable coaching from it. but also the fact of the group. At first, I wasn't sure whether the group would make sense for me, but actually having gone into the group, it was great because we then had a small community of business owners who are suffering with similar problems or similar challenges, some of which actually we may have overcome and then could help with, but then also ones that maybe they've got answers to that we needed help with. So that was really attractive to me eventually. At first I wasn't sure. So I think if someone was sort of thinking, I don't want group coaching, I don't want the sort of group therapy style of things, well, it kind of is a small element of therapy, but actually the group is designed and cultured to be incredibly supportive. And that's something that Phil instills right from the start. The thing I think I remember Phil saying right at day one was that we will definitely grow your business, absolutely, without question, even if you do nothing else but turn up. And that's because we're going to deliver focus to your business. You will be looking at your business in a way you haven't ever been doing so before, or perhaps in areas that you didn't focus on before. And that in itself is going to deliver you some growth because you're just going to be more conscious and more aware of everything that's going on. And he was absolutely right. I definitely am more focused and more aware on the business rather than the job of the business, which is obviously delivering video and training content and so forth in and around video marketing. But the business itself has definitely seen a growth because of certain things that we've implemented and certain things that we've yet to implement, but we will. And that in itself has helped us in terms of discussing certain contracts with clients. We've been able to put our position out quite clearly, set expectations from the start, and that actually has helped. It's strengthened our relationships with our customers and our clients. It's also put us in a position of respect as well, so people understand and respect our efforts and our time that we're putting into the business. And we've ended up certainly starting to secure slightly stronger, slightly more profitable contracts. And equally, we are in a position where we understand all of the finances and the numbers around it and actually how just those little bits and pieces can make such a big difference ultimately. I'm way more aware of my business than I ever was before. I have a much stronger understanding of where the business is headed, who we serve, and how we're going to serve them best. So, I think we didn't have that clarity before. So probably the biggest win for me is potentially clarity. In terms of growth, we can certainly quantify it, and Phil would kick me up the butt if I didn't or wasn't able to quantify it because I didn't know my numbers. So that's a note to Phil there that I do know my numbers. So I would say we've probably seen about a 10 to 12% growth so far. We're about halfway through the program at this point as well. So 6 months in, and that's great. I mean, I would take that right off the bat. 10% would be a fantastic result based on the investment that we put in. So for me, if it continues like that, that's absolutely smashing. In terms of our plans for the future, it's really a case of actually nailing down our transition that we're currently in the middle of doing. So traditionally, we're very much a video production company. We would come and we would service our customers by producing video content for them, whether that's filming, editing, etc. Now it's a little bit different, I think, and it's partly come out of being in the program, but I realized that actually to enable myself and my company to get the time and the lifestyle that we want from running this business, which is having time with the family, being able to have time for ourselves, that we also need to be able to serve customers in a slightly different way, because we were essentially taking every single person's job as they came to us as a new bespoke product that we would essentially then create and launch, which isn't really sustainable in the long run if you're not charging the sort of either a lot of money for doing so that you can work on a few projects at a time. So to help us service more clients, I think we've discovered that there's a new little niche that we can help people out with, and that's essentially doing it for themselves, because video content now is so immediate and necessary that with social media you have to have content going out regularly, and it's not necessarily something that people can just bring in, day out, and have someone coming in to do that for them. It just becomes too costly and actually wouldn't be very timely either. So to be able to have the knowledge and the expertise, the lack of fear around creating your own video content is something that companies could really do with, and we're helping them in that way. We're helping them understand video editing, because video editing in itself is an art. So all these things, and we're transitioning now into becoming probably less of a video production agency, but more of a training video agency. So we're actually helping people understand video and using our many years of experience into how to do that. So for us in the next 3 years, I think it'll be probably positioning ourselves in a little bit more of that light. Not that we're not going to do production altogether. We will still do production, of course, for people who have the money but not the time necessarily, and they just need someone to come in and get it done and get a professional result. But much more focus on the training arm of things and helping smaller businesses, a bit like Phil does, to have the skills, the knowledge, and the tools to be able to go and produce high quality video content for themselves. far as Phil's coaching style goes, it's really important to understand that he isn't going to pander to every whim and word that you have. He's not going to allow you to get away with stuff just because you're the client, certainly. So he has a very, and that's not to say he's horrible at all. He's absolutely fantastic in the fact that he's very supportive. He understands fully when it's time to give you the carrots, and he understands when it's time to give you the stick, so to speak. So if you need that push, you need that little bit of encouragement because it's just maybe an element of laziness has crept in or something, he'll recognize that and understand when it's time to pick you up that way. And equally, when he can pick up that you're not feeling right, you're not quite there, that also it's time for the arm around the shoulder approach, which, you know, as a business owner is really huge because there aren't a lot of people that you can talk to that understand the troubles and the strength and the sort of strength it takes to kind of put that through. And get your sort of message across. So I think it's vital to be able to recognize that, or have a coach that can recognize that, so that you get the support you need when you need it, but at the same time you get the kick up the bum when you need it too. Because I think if you don't have that, then you've got someone who's just going to say, you know, yes, Alex, I think you should do that, or, you know, yes, I think you should do that, when actually it's not necessarily the right thing to do. So he's not afraid about telling you the right thing to do, even if it's not necessarily the thing you want to hear at the time that you want to hear it, if that makes sense. So I think it is very supportive, but at the same time, there's the right level of kind of control in that respect. He tells you when it's time that you need to do something. And I think as a whole thing is geared around you doing the work, the effort, rather than him doing it for you, because he'll help you, he'll hold your hand in some respects, but he wants you to grow. He wants you to do the work so that you get the benefit out of it longer term. If anyone was on the fence and thinking about it, the easy answer is just to say, do it. Absolutely, you should. But I think it depends on a couple of different things. So I think if you're on the fence because you're worried about the investment, is it going to be worth the money? Well, absolutely. I think the investment is very low for the level of return that you get back from it in terms of knowledge, let alone the results that you might see from it as well in terms of actual financial return on investment. The interactivity that you get within the group is also really important. So I think that's another key, is that if you're a business owner who is thinking about coaching but are on the fence slightly because there's lots and will it apply to me? Well, actually, you've got this community of people that you get to join up with and no, not only is that a great, powerful business network for a start, you've got, you know, a group of other businesses that you can essentially speak to in terms of services that you might be able to offer them, but also you've got this community of support whereby if they know somebody or you know something that they don't, or vice versa, there's lots of information that's being shared. So the great thing is if you're a business owner that's feeling a little bit stranded, a little bit alone in your business and you need some help, or you feel like you need a team member, then actually this could be a good answer to that, because not only are you going to get the coaching, but you're also going to get this support network of people who you can essentially call on from time to time just to maybe bend an ear, have a coffee with, etc. And that makes such a difference. For a long period of time, been someone who looks at lots of these things, looks at lots of different programs and teaching panels and teaching offers, and not really fully understood whether it would be for me or not, and sat there going, well, it's easy to be skeptical. I don't think it's going to be for me because X, Y, and Z. But actually, I would say feel like I'm living proof now, and that actually this is a perfect thing to jump into with both feet wholeheartedly, because it does work, especially if you're prepared to put the time in as well. And it's not a lot of time. That's the great thing. It doesn't require, there's a little bit of homework each week that we have to do, but it's not huge. As long as you set some time aside, and that's one of the first things you tackle is time management, then you absolutely will be in a position to handle it. So it's a great place if you're feeling overwhelmed to help relieve some of that overwhelm and get some clarity. So I think the thing with COVID-19 was that immediately people would say, well, we're not growing now. And it would be a situation where it would be very easy to shut up shop and just hide and wait for things to kind of happen. But actually, because of being in the program, what was great is that Phil said, no, actually, I think this is the time that we need to absolutely be planning. We need to be thinking about your business. We need to be thinking about where and when it's going and where it's going and how we can get it there. And actually not so much crazy growth in this period, but let's just think about strategies that you can start putting in place to connect you to your customers, to strengthen those relationships so that come the end of this situation, we can actually build out of it rather than sort of have to start again. And what was great about it is that whilst these meetings were supposed to be physical in terms of we were supposed to turn up to a group, and we had a few of these meetings where we were in a group session all together, in a lovely venue in Bury. In this case, it was perfect for that. But and unfortunately, we had to stop those, obviously due to the government registration of regulations. But what Phil did immediately is he stepped up and said, look, actually, as your coach, I need to be here for you more. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up some extra sessions. We're going to do these things virtually. And he set about getting that all organized. So very much leading from the front in terms of his business, setting it up in a way that he could continue operating and supporting all of those businesses that he'd pledged support to. So we never, in fact, if anything, we actually got more support than we should have done. And equally, he was really good, and he helped us out financially all as well by working us out a situation where the investment monthly fee was not quite so bad as it could have been. So it helped us out immediately from a cost point of view, and he delivered extra coaching. So absolutely, I am more prepared to come out of COVID-19 better as a business than I ever would have been if I hadn't got Phil's involvement at all. Obviously, as a result of COVID-19, I think our business, it was quite clear that our business needed to do something and needed to potentially transition anyway. And I think that's what came out of it was starting to percolate in terms of the coaching. And then when COVID-19 hit, that was when I think the moment for me was very clear that we need to do something a bit different. We can't actually go out and film at the moment. We can do lots of editing, and we've been supporting our clients with editing projects that they filmed themselves and sent in to us. But actually it created a situation where I thought, hang on, we can run this business still without needing to necessarily be there. We can actually teach our clients how to do a lot of the filming side of things. Not to say that it's something that they'll get right away and that it's something easy to teach and learn, because it does take years of practice, but it is something that we can get them to a much better result than just them holding up their iPhone potentially in a bad room with bad lighting, etc. So that for me was I suppose a bit of a eureka moment, because we're then able to say, right, actually we know what we need to do now to transition, and it has to start. And I don't think if we hadn't had COVID-19, I don't think we'd have had that kick. I don't think we'd have had that reason to do it, because we'd have still been able to service our clients in the normal way. So it was definitely a factor in our transitioning, because we just had to adapt. What are we looking forward to post-lockdown? Well, in a number of things, really. It depends if we're talking personal or business, but having a beer would be lovely. But and I know that at some point the group are going to get together and have a beer, which would be great to see everybody properly again. But in terms of post-lockdown and post-COVID, I think just a return to some form of normality. I don't think normal is going to mean anything anymore. I don't think normal is going to be the normal that we know. I think it's going to be slightly different. But I am looking forward to being able to go out to our clients a little bit more, with a little bit less sort of conscious regard for our safety, in terms of thinking that actually every time you go out you could contract a virus which could be potentially fatal, or and worse, pass it on to family members or other people who it might be even more affect more badly. Particularly through the coaching, one of the great things that we do is we do a little personality analysis as such, and it's a very sort of small one. We don't touch upon it hugely, but we did have a look at it, and it just helps you understand yourself as a person and how you operate. And I'm certainly I believe I'm a high C, if that's the right term. So, and that basically means that I'm very high detail orientated person. So I have to take an idea apart several times and put it back together again before I can sometimes move forward with it. And that personality can clash sometimes with my clients, who are more sort of dominant and just want things delivered in a particular way in a particular time. And so understanding that's really helped from a business sense, but it will also help understand myself personally as well, because I think what the coaches taught me is that actually you don't have to wear all of this yourself. You don't have to take it all on and try and deal with it, because particularly when it comes to mental health, you see a lot of businesses, particularly that aren't doing so well, who potentially are wearing a lot of this, the pain and the effort and the angst on themselves, and putting so much pressure on themselves because you don't necessarily have a network to share that support, these sort of fears with, because you can speak to your other half, but maybe they're employed, they don't run a business, and they don't fully get the intrinsic sort of bits and pieces that bother you as a business owner from day to day. So I think what this was great about this group is that it showed me that what I'm feeling in terms of the pressures and the angst that you get when you run a business are not your own to bear, certainly. And you're also not alone. There are other people out there who feel exactly the same as you. They have exactly the same problems, and they can also be helped, and you can help each other. And I think it was that realization that, I think I had a call with Phil a few months in, and was like, oh, I feel a bit overwhelmed, COVID, business, things actually getting busier because we're doing more for our clients to try and help them, but not necessarily getting paid for the extra help that we're delivering, and oh my God, and everything. And I rambled off a whole load of things, and he just stopped. So Alex, look, calm down, relax, take the pressure off. Honestly, take the pressure off yourself. Everybody's suffering this incredibly unprecedented situation. Just take the pressure off yourself, give yourself some credit, and then we'll build a plan. And that was great. It was so supportive, and it just made me realize again that you don't have to take it all on. You feel like you do, but you really don't. And actually it's important that you don't, and you share it with other people.